Hey guys, my name is Tom. I'm a entrepreneur from Vancouver, Canada, and I am involved in the private label game. And for the past year, we've been building up brands, scaling them, and selling them on various online channels. And today in this video, I had the honor to interview one of the online serial entrepreneurs in Vancouver. Well, he's kind of a digital nomad considering how much he travels. But Addy has done millions and millions of sales online for physical products, subscription businesses. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview.
See, that's your art then.
Yeah, I never understood people who like art, but that's my art, I guess. So this,
Can you
All right.
see it on your phone? Like what it looks like?
No, I'm just reading the questions. It looks okay? All right,
I
cool.
should post a question in there.
Ask yourself a question. All right, I guess we'll just hit one of these at a time.
Is it on now?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
Cool.
It'll be casual. Okay, Austin asks which site he pulls his. Actually, a quick intro
Yeah.
before we even jump into that.
Yeah, I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur. I've had a few businesses, serial e-com entrepreneur. I've done everything from subscription box businesses to just regular e-commerce on Shopify to Amazon FBA businesses. I've utilized all sorts of traffic sources, including Facebook, YouTube, Google, Bing, affiliate marketing, Amazon. So I've kind of had a bit of experience in all of that. So.
Yeah, and we were just at brunch with the ladies who are behind us. They're
Hi.
shy there. But we're talking about how important it is to build a brand outside of Amazon because Amazon is such a
It's a double-edged sword.
yeah, absolutely. And then that's kind of what we're talking about, which was very interesting. I'm sure a lot of you guys would love to learn some techniques from that aspect of things as well. But let's answer some questions here. So Austin asked which site he pulls his keyword traffic volume data from.
Is that for Amazon or?
Amazon. This is all Amazon related questions. Your employees does that for you, don't you?
Yeah, at this point they do it, but keyword traffic. Well, when I was doing it, I was using merchant words. There was also AMZ Tracker, the guys that really do the biggest volume on Amazon. What I've learned from them is it's not so much about the technical details of best keywords and the best optimization and what's the best thing to put in my title. It's more so big picture. Just grow as fast as you can, launch as many products as you can, rather than trying to make a product 100% of its potential. Get it to 80% and then move on to the next one and then to the next one. Because if you try to make it, if you try to squeeze that extra juice out of the lemon, it's not going to be worth it while the other guy is going out and buying lemon on top of lemon. So, it's a good question. But those are the two sources that I remember. I'm sure there's more now. Another one that a lot of people don't look at is Google keyword tool. That kind of gives you keywords that other sellers might not be using, but that customers might be looking for. So a lot of sellers just go off of what Merchant Words has or what AMZ Tracker or one of these tools has, but it's kind of like a jerk circle where everybody's just kind of using what everybody else has. They're not really thinking from the perspective of the customer. And where a lot of customers start out their searches from is Google. So you can actually find some pretty good keywords from Google that the competition might not be using. Yep.
And Edward asked, this is actually something we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What changes do you see coming in 2018?
Yeah, this is just coming from some guy that I met who is like a senior vice president at Amazon. I met him last year, and I was asking him about what he thinks about tools like Viral Launch and Jungle Scout and all the big tools that most sellers use, Helium 10. And he said, there's a lot of shady stuff going on in the industry, and I agreed with him because there, absolutely is. And there's obviously, great tools like Viral Launch, which, there's nothing wrong with them. But he said a lot of these tools are going to be not as useful as they are right now as we go into a different mode of search on Amazon, which is voice-based search. So he said he couldn't tell me the exact time frame, but it's looking within the next 2 to 3 years where more and more customers are going to start searching for products on Amazon using tools like Alexa sitting at home, rather than going on their desktop or the laptop or even their phone and searching for example, a pull-up bar. They're going to ask Alexa, Alexa, get me a pull-up bar. Alexa is going to respond back, giving them a few options in terms of price, reviews, and that kind of thing. So as a new seller, your brand is going to be worth less and less, because if Alexa gives you 2 options or 3 options, you're likely to pick the one that's based off of the best price or the most number of reviews. No amount of image optimization or the best listing is going to be as useful when those kinds of changes come. So that's just another reason why not to put all your eggs into Amazon. Diversify as much as you can, and don't make Amazon your god.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that Adi just said earlier before we started recording this is, it's obvious, everybody knows the importance of building the brand outside Amazon, but the thing is, people are, I'm going to speak personally, it's you're opening another can of worms. So I asked him the question, like, where should I even start? Should I start on, should I do Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and whatever? So the practical advice that he has given me that I thought was very useful is focus on one first. So that could be Instagram, it could be Facebook, and then once you finish that, move on to the next one.
Yeah, the one thing that people forget, is in terms of immediate ROI and that immediate gratification, Amazon is the number one, right? You're not going to be able to get the same immediate results from Facebook ads or Instagram ads that you will from Amazon, and that's just the nature of the beast. And so if you're just starting out, just go down that route and focus as much as you can on Amazon. But if you actually, and I have friends who've sold their businesses, and I'm assuming most people watching will eventually want to exit from their business. If you just zoom out and look at it from big picture, and talk to brokers, right? Talk to business brokers and ask them what kind of a multiple does an Amazon, primarily Amazon business get versus a business that's diversified and has its own customer base. 99% of the time, they're going to say that the business that has its own customer base and its own revenue streams and that one-on-one relationship with the customer is going to get a much better multiple than Amazon. And so if you build a business, let's say it's doing $1 million in profit a year, the Amazon business, the Amazon only business might get a multiple of, let's say, 3 at best. Whereas the other business that's generating revenues from all sorts of traffic sources might get a multiple of 4. And that puts an extra $1 million in your pocket. Which $1 million, and you don't see that right away, while you're building the business. But in the long term, it serves you better if you were to, focus on other channels. And as far as which channels to focus, I'm of the opinion that it's better to pick one and really become great at that, because that's really where most of the big e-commerce brands started. Whether it's Honest Company, Chubby Shorts, Movement Watches, a lot of these brands, we were discussing Six Pack Abs, Mike Chang, he primarily focuses on YouTube and really becomes good at that. So that's just my 2 cents. Is focus on one thing at a time and get really good at it.
Mm-hmm. Michael asked, process and partnership agreements, if any, used to get to that level, automation tips and pearls. Yeah,
you want to have partnership agreements in place, hands down. Do not even, I have countless stories of friends getting into different partnerships where, in the beginning everything's going great, especially if there's no money in the business, you don't really put any value in it. It's only when the business becomes worth something where disagreements arise, and you want to take those precautions when the times are good, rather than wait till a point where you have a little bit of an argument here or there, or if you have different visions of what to do. If one person wants to sell the business and the other doesn't, how do you come to a conclusion? Unless you have things like a shotgun clause in place, where you're forced to kind of make a decision rather than wasting everybody's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shoot, 1 second here. Automation. How many employees do you have right now?
In total, we have around a dozen employees outsourced, as well as in-house with the different businesses that I have.
Okay, cool. Did he stick to strictly one category and industry, or did he go under one company name and go into multiple categories and products?
Yeah, depends. Again, if you're building an Amazon only brand, definitely diversify, because I can't emphasize it enough. putting all your eggs into one basket is not the way to go with Amazon. If you're doing it on your own website, put all the eggs into one basket and then watch that basket. Whereas if you're doing it on Amazon, you may have to have things like multiple accounts, you may have to have different brands, you may have to have other wholesalers that you partner with in the event of a possible suspension. I've never, touch wood, been suspended. Most of my friends haven't been suspended. And if you do get into that scenario, you want to have a third party that sells on Amazon who's willing and ready to just buy your product and continue selling on your behalf from their account. Because in the meantime, you're trying to get your account reinstated and you don't suffer as much from the cash flows.
What fun does he have with that money?
I don't generally have fun spending money as much as I do building something. I still drive the same car that I bought when I came out of university. My wife would probably tell you I don't spend on stuff. I did, although a couple of weeks ago, spent 5 figures on a little letter written by Napoleon because he's one of my heroes. But that's an individual choice. I don't really spend a whole lot.
If they had to start from scratch, what would their strategy be, and what is the highest level of reviews they use as competition for entering a market they have no list for?
So first, pick your category correctly. There's categories that have a higher barrier to entry than others. The two main barriers to entry being price and the quantity of reviews. So if you're getting into a category such as supplements or beauty, you better have the resources to allocate to to getting reviews. Because if the average listing for a product such as vitamin C serum, bath bombs, if the average listing on page 1 has 1,000 reviews, you're not going to come in with 10 reviews and just blow them out of the water. You're going to have to work your way up to at least 100 reviews before you can start seeing decent traction. Whereas if you pick a different category where people might not be as crazy about getting into it, it might be a boring category like tools or home improvement or gardening or fishing. There, the average quantity of reviews needed might be 30 or 20, and that just means that you'll be able to get to your sales goals, a few months sooner than the other way. The other is price. So the cost of the product is a big one. I'm of the opinion, a lot of people tell you in this industry to go for small and light. If it's weighs not much, and if it's small, get into it because the shipping is going to be cheaper and all of this. My thinking is, if that's what everybody's doing, go for the heavier, extra large items because consumers are going to be willing to pay extra. If it's a large dining table, they expect to pay more because it's going to cost you. If you don't charge them shipping for the dining table, IKEA or some other company will, because that's just part of the product. And so, that's just
think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, think differently from the other people. That's just another tip.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm preaching to against these people as well. It's there's so many courses coming out, and they're all teaching their students find a shoe size box. If thousands and thousands of people are looking for those products, you got to think outside the box sometimes.
And that's the other comment I have with these courses is the guys making these courses, most of them really don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Most of the guys that I know that are super sellers, they sell $75 to $100 million a year. They never took a course. They never went to an Amazon conference. They're just out there in the trenches. The things that Tom talks about on his channel, they're the basics, and that's all you really need to know. And then it's just a matter of execution and giving it enough time, and you'll get there. But if you get into all these courses, which you don't even know who made the course, you're going to get into things like analysis paralysis, and you're spending your time on things that just don't even matter, where you lose the big picture.
So we talked about how many staffs you have already. How do you manage, if you were to give one tip about managing your staff?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Well, the number one, and I've made this mistake, is hire the right people, right? You don't want to manage people. You want people who are going to self-manage. And so the qualities that I look for, and this is one of the reasons I'm not a proponent of outsourcing and hiring VAs in other countries. And even though I know people who do that really well, it's just not my style. I like hiring people who are self-motivated, who are really passionate about what they're going to be working on, and then just letting them do their thing. Because if you're always worried about having to manage them, and then what happens if you're traveling or if you're going away on a trip, which I do a lot. I try to hire people who are going to self-manage and be self-motivated.
Do you use any like softwares or anything to manage tasks at all, or just kind of let them do their own thing? Again,
I don't. If my staff wants to take a day off because they're not feeling well, or they can only work half a day. Why did most of you get into the business? Because you were probably unhappy or unsatisfied with what your previous job was doing for you. That was absolutely the case for me. I was unhappy because my worth was dependent on the number of hours I was putting in rather than the results I was producing, and that didn't sit well for me. So the people that are working with me now, I don't base their performance on, hey, you have to sit there for 8 hours and I'm going to manage every single hour that you're there. I give them a target, quarterly target and an annual target. If you get that target, you're golden. If you don't, then I'm going to have to do a little bit more micromanaging. And touch wood, none of them have been bad so far. They're all great, but that's just because I'm a little bit prudent in how I hire them. But things like managing people, like if you're not the kind who would not want to be washed all the.
Yeah, it's 20. It really depends.
Yeah, I've seen some longer ones too.
All right, sorry about that, guys. We had the memory card was running out of room, so I had to delete some stuff. We'll carry on to the next question here. Let's see here. What strategies did he implement from the beginning that helped him to get to the 7 to 8 figure mark? Or what advice would he give someone starting out in this business, especially that will help people with a long-term vision?
Well, yeah, the thing with that is first you have to have that long-term vision. So once you know what that is, you just start backwards from that. So if your goal is $1 million, just work backwards from that. What kinds of things are you going to have in place? You could probably build $1 million business just by yourself. You don't have to have any employees, and maybe an outsourced VA or something. But if you want to build a $10 million business, you need to think about employees. And if you're thinking you're going to build a $10 million business, but you're not thinking about employees, there's a disconnect there. First figure out what you want, and then the strategies to get there are basically don't focus so much on the low-level tasks, as well as anything that can be outsourced needs to be outsourced as soon as possible. And if you find yourself doing customer emails, for example, don't do customer emails. If you find yourself creating those FBA shipments, there's somebody else who can do that for you. There's not one task on your plate that cannot be outsourced. The only things that you should be focused on are one, hiring. So you want to hire as many people as you can, as fast as you can. And number two is focus on scaling the business. That's it. And implement things in place where these people that you hire are the ones carrying that vision out for you, rather than you carrying it on your own.
Okay. Aaron asks, what factors does he think will or is currently required to take your business to his level? So my business to your level. What strategies on Amazon or outside of Amazon will help you to have a competitive edge over the competition?
Yeah, gone are the days of throwing a product on Amazon and making tens of thousands overnight. Yeah, I mean, in a way, there's always going to be competition. And if there's competition, frankly, I like that. Because if there's no competition, it's either a really good thing because you found a gold mine, or it's a bad thing because why is nobody else there? The strategies are fairly simple. They're the same. The same thing that's going to allow you to get to $1 million in sales is going to allow you to get to 10 million. It's just a matter of scaling everything up. Oftentimes what people don't think about is scaling that human capital. They just focus a lot on scaling products, but not about human capital. And I can guarantee if you bring on that extra 1 or 2 or 3 people, you're going to see such a massive amount of scaling happen a lot faster than if you were to just try to launch products on your own, or do all sorts of marketing on your own.
Right. How many products do you have right now? Like roughly over
30 to 45.
40 products. How many brands?
4 brands, and actually 5 brands. 5 brands.
Percentage of revenue from Amazon and other channels?
I'd say half.
50-50. what sales funnels and which ad platform makes you the most amount of revenue?
Outside of Amazon, or
Yeah, outside of Amazon. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Definitely Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And you do 100% private label, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% private
I
label.
don't do wholesale or nothing like that.
No wholesale. If you started again today, what would you do differently?
Honestly, nothing. Nothing would be different. I would just do what I did. I would ignore the naysayers and people who say it's not the same opportunity or whatever. That doesn't help you. The only thing I would probably do differently maybe is hire sooner.
Hire sooner. What's your strategy? I mean, this is a pretty vague question, but what's your strategy to build brands? If you
Yeah.
were to give like maybe a couple of tips.
Yeah, so the strategy behind building brands is don't focus so much on products. That's what happens when people get into, especially into Amazon selling, is they're so focused on launching product. They don't think through what is the brand that I'm building, who's the customer I'm going after. If, for example, you're in health and beauty, you want to think through what that customer life cycle is going to be. If they're buying from you vitamin C serum, okay, what other products are they likely to buy? And focus on those products, because it's much harder to try to get new customers rather than to make more from existing customers.
Mm-hmm. What percentage of your products have failed?
Less than 5%.
And did they sell brand name products? How many chance will, well, this doesn't really apply to you because you don't sell other people's products, you just do private label.
Yeah.
How far along into his Amazon journey was he able to start paying himself monthly salary? And if so, what percentage of his profits did he pay himself?
I don't pay myself still. You shouldn't pay yourself if you really want to scale it, unless you want to be a lifestyle entrepreneur. But how soon could I have? I could have probably started paying myself like the second or third month, because I was profitable right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're just so focused on scaling up your business, you don't really.
Yeah, I mean,
like you just say whatever you need to cover your monthly expenses. That's pretty much
every dollar that you're taking out, you're losing $10 in 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if I'm buying a fucking Subway for $8, I'm really paying $80 for that Subway.
And what is the list of tools that you use currently on Amazon?
Yeah, so there's basic tools. Viral Launch is great. Casey, who runs it, is even greater. What are the other tools? I know there's Helium 10 that you can use for a bunch of things. And like the primary one is just Viral Launch, just to identify the right products, and then from there,
Launch it.
Yeah.
When you started off, how many products did you launch in your first year?
In the first year, probably. In the first year, it was less because I was really trying to make the products that I had do well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say 7 or 8, 6, 7, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all the questions. But is there anything maybe you want to share with the FBA hustlers who are trying to hustle their way into making some money? And
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Listen to Tom. I mean, this guy, every time I talk to him, whatever he's saying is the right thing to do. And he's got a great heart, so he's very transparent with everything. Honestly, focus 90% on execution and 10% on learning, because the actual learning will happen when you execute rather than watching Tom. It's simple. Building a business, it's just a team of people trying to achieve an objective. Otherwise, you're just kind of aimlessly going around. And if you really think of the business as a team of people, you're going to do all the right things. You're going to hire the right people. You're actually going to hire people, because a lot of people don't even get to that stage of hiring people. But you just have that overall objective of, hey, this is what I want to build. I want to build a $10 million brand, $100 million brand, or $1 million brand, or I want to travel. If you want to travel, that's going to have a different execution strategy. You're not going to hire as many people.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. It's a personal question, but I would just say stay as focused as you can be. If you're going the Amazon route, it's never too soon to launch your next product. Launch as many products as you can, but make sure to diversify either into other brands, other categories, or other marketplaces. That's another topic we could have talked about. And make sure to have your own relationship with your customers, because when Amazon pulls the plug off of you, if you don't have that customer relationship, I mean, God bless you.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that was awesome. It's not every day we have, someone who does high 7 figures, 8 figures in sales, not only on Amazon, but really trying to build a e-commerce brand. In fact, Addy and his wife were actually just recently featured on Dragon's Den, which is like a Canadian version of Shark Tank, and they actually got a really big investment, $250,000 from the show as well. So they're definitely, as legit as they can get. But Addy is not. He's never satisfied. That's the one thing. He's like, you think you're so small right now too, right? Like,
I think
you're like a little
small fish wanting to be a shark.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you start thinking you're big, you're fucked. Because then you lose that hunger. I mean, I don't even think I just think I'm a small fish because in my mind I'm wanting to get if you think you're big, then you don't have a big enough vision. And it's not that I'm not satisfied. I would say I'm not content. Like, I'm happy, and I was happy when I was making like $500 a month. But I don't think I ever want to be content, honestly. Like, what's the point of contentment? Like, be content when I'm dead,
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Dude, anytime. Let's do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys have a great host here. Listen to what he says. And,
no, that's awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys did, leave a comment down below. If you guys have any, do you want people to follow you anywhere at all? Or?
Sure. You can find me. You can put my name there. It's just ADIGULLIA.
Yeah, and then he's got a really sick Instagram, so make sure to follow his Instagram page for a lot of content. And, that's it. All right. Hope you guys have a good day.
All right. Kill it.